Hey, and welcome to today's episode. I'm super excited to be talking about intergenerational leadership. And with our special guest, I cannot think of a more uh, thought provoking person to really talk about this with, which is Maya Moore. She is the founder of Boss Me In and co founder of EYEJ, which stands for Empowering Youth and Exploring Justice. Two platforms dedicated to empowering women and youth to lead with courage, authenticity, and impact. Through Boss Me In, My champions a diverse community of women, providing mentorship and opportunities to rise as fearless leaders. At EYEJ, she empowers thousands of young people in critical conversations and social action work around injustice issues. Mai's fearless leadership has inspired transformational growth from guiding policy reforms and building networks and uplifting marginalized voices. As a speaker, she motivates audiences and takes bold action, leads with integrity, and makes a lasting impact. So, my welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim. Appreciate it. I'm excited for the conversation.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're here and we're able to have this conversation. So, if you don't mind, could you tell me what is intergenerational leadership and why should we really care about it as leaders?
Absolutely. And just to give a little bit of context, my personal mission is really, I call myself hashtag almost social impact. I'm here to awaken awareness, to create a more equitable, connected, and empowered world. And as you had mentioned, Tim, intergenerational leadership has really been a focus of mine, whether directly or indirectly, for the last 13 years. Previous to that, I was in tech and I helped two companies go public. And so intergenerational is really connecting between generations for better understanding and impact. It's a vital answer right now to the future of work. In 5 years, 70% of our workforce is going to be millennials and Gen Z. And what this really comes down to is about the topic of leadership. Are we really empowering our next set of leadership properly? And do we have, great demonstrations of example of leaders right now so that they can follow in our footsteps? And I think, with everything going on in the future of work, with retention issues, I mean, it goes on and on, hiring issues, DEI issues. I mean, we know what the state of culture right now. Are we really doing our duty as humans to, set the next generation up properly?
So, you make a great point when you say 70% of millennials are going to be leading the workforce in
And
the
Gen
next
Z.
several years.
Hmm.
So, when we talk about the difference in difference in generations and how that applies to the workforce. So, can we talk a little bit about what we know the huge generational gaps are as far as values in the workplace go?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we could spend hours on that, and I think, what's complex here is that we've got 5 to 6 generations of people in the workforce right now, and then as far as values, for example, I'm a chief and I'm around a lot of executive women, and that's been an integral part of Boss Me In. And then you've got Gen Z, which are completely different. It's almost like a different world right now. And so when you talk about values and how we were raised, and perhaps maybe what we learned from capitalistic ways or the way corporations ran is very different than what Gen Z are demanding and what they're expecting. And um, honestly, no one alone, no group alone has the answers alone. That's what I've learned, and I've actually like tested that myself because at first I was like, oh, young people might have all the answers and what they're demanding is correct. I do believe that. And a lot of executives are trying to shift and work between what corporations expect and trying to create more ease and trying to abide by what young people are expecting. But it's just so what I've learned is that that alone is not the answer. It's also really what I look at is it's executives that really need to shift, and leadership that needs to really shift in our own way and evolve and grow to become better leaders. Because at the end of the day, they are watching us, they are following us, they are trying to learn from us. And we have made a lot of mistakes, and we have really, I mean, set this, a lot of things up, honestly, for failure in some ways. And let's be honest, a lot of the leadership right now is not fantastic. So obviously Gen Z are wondering, like, what in the world is going on here? Who can I follow? Who can I trust? Who are good leaders? And so again, it's not about one party having the answer regarding intergenerational leadership. It's about us coming together to create that answer for positive impact.
So what is one, or what are the common themes then that we can all
Yeah,
come together? What's the common thread
great
that
question.
ties everybody together other
Yes.
than we're all human beings?
That's an amazing question. And actually, what's interesting is that for a while, I thought that we were farther apart as far as generations than we actually are. There's a lot of negative talk that gets into the media, about how we are so drastically different, but we are actually very similar. I think what I have seen is that all parties here do want a better world, meaning they want a better culture. They want to thrive in their work. They want to be healthy. They want to be happy. They want to be purpose and mission focused. They want to create good impact. Yes, of course. I think all of us know that money is important, but money is not the sole factor. It's a couple different factors coming intertwining that is really the commonality, which I think all persons want in this endeavor.
So I was just taking a quick note on that because you said money's not the important thing. And I think I agree with you that value, right? Bringing value to everybody is what's probably one of the most important things out there. And so as we have younger people coming in, how do we set the right expectations to be like, well, you want to make an impact, but there's a right way to make an impact, or there's a way to make an impact that's different than what you perceive to be the way to make an impact. So,
Yeah.
how do we develop and coach and encourage that initiative without killing the spirit?
Powerful question. And you kind of had two questions in there regarding the value. Yes, it's how do we create value, but not just for ourselves selfishly? How do we create value for the community or the team or whatever the mission of the company is and all that? First of all, if we're talking about leadership, we need to be more authentic. We need to be honest and say we don't have all the answers. We need to meet and be respectful of each party. I see a lot of times that each party is not respecting each other, meaning that, come to the table as humans, and we have to trust ourselves as leaders that we do have answers. Actually, Gen Z have a lot of answers too. And so how can we come to the table and then have those conversations, right? Openly, not in a political way that I have to have a face and I'm scared to speak because I'm scared of this executive, or too many demands or pressures. Having open conversation about whatever the problem is to create a solution together, right? And then actually implementing it. Because I think a lot of times right now in society, we have an issue of talking a lot, right? There's a lot of talkers out here. And that is somebody that I am absolutely not. And I think that Gen Z need to see that. To your point about impact, what does impact really mean and what does it look like? We have to demonstrate by example. And so to answer your question about, what is the impact, have that conversation, right? Together to exactly answer that. What is the impact that we want? Is it the $20 million goal that we want to to reach as a company? Or is it that we want to focus on the mission of the company and what we're trying to accomplish? And then there's different aspects of that and different areas that tie into that, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes great sense. And so when we talk about developing people, what is a key thing that you learned from a mentor of yours as you were growing up? Because at one point in time, we were the younger generation
Yeah, one.
and we had another generational guide, right?
Yeah.
So, what is something that you hold on
Yeah.
from mentors of yours that you still like to impart to people today?
Um, Obviously I'll share this. I can't say that I was a normal example, but I would say what resonates with young people is that my mentors demonstrated by example. So if there was a goal at hand, they were working. I saw, I have had many amazing mentors, but I saw them actually implement it themselves as an example versus just directing it and saying, this is the goal, go make it happen. So we have to, I think young people are very visual. We have to actually show it, whether yes, it is describing it through a social media post or actually, creating a company. And no, you don't need to, that's not, everybody doesn't need to create a company, but it's actually like, yes, if we are pissed off about X, how do we actually create that change and implement it, and show what the impact of that implementation is? Who does it impact? What happened from that? Did we create, as an example, more, did we help someone get a job? Did we help them get an internship? Maybe it was a social emotional scenario with their mental health and we help them with X. Like, we have to communicate what that impact looks like, and we have to demonstrate it by example.
All great points about leading by example and demonstrating that
Yes.
and what that looks like. And so as we demonstrate what right looks like or how you can do different things, what are some of the gaps that you see today when it comes to communication?
Oh,
Because we communicate very differently, and
very.
communication is key. So what is something that we can do or need to know about bridging the gap in communication?
Communication, number one, is a key element in society today, no matter in the workforce or in culture. And to your point, yes, there are very different styles of communication. And I'm not saying I am an example of this. I've had to really learn, and I'm not an expert at this, but I would say I am definitely a communicator, but I've had to learn at the different styles of how people communicate. Sometimes it is through social media, sometimes it's through text, sometimes we learn, through email, sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's getting on a Zoom. And so honestly, I think we have to be flexible. And to your point, just earlier today, I was frustrated because I was actually working with a Gen Z, and a lot of times I see this block, like they don't know how to have a conversation back. They're used to maybe being given, whatever the goal is or the task is, and then maybe they communicate once and that's it. No, it's okay. We have to show that it's okay to ask questions, or it's okay to respond back. And then this is a trait actually I learned from my uncle in the military, is communication is I say something, you repeat it back so that I know that you are understanding it, right? And young people don't understand that, or they haven't been trained. I shouldn't say they haven't been trained that way, right? It's very one off. I speak, you speak. Like and so we need to allow for space, and that comes back to us as the older generations, is have we been creating trusting environments, where we can collaborate, where we can have that conversation, where it's okay to be vulnerable, where it's okay to say I screwed up. In my generation it wasn't okay to do that, right? So they've seen that, they've watched us. But I think that communication style of, from the military is really, very, really powerful. I say something, you say it back, repeat it, so that I know that you understood what I say, and I do the same for you.
No, absolutely, and I'm glad that you mentioned that tactic. With my background being in the military for over 23 years, that is something when I talk to people, I'm like, hey, I say something. Learned early on that just because I said something doesn't mean somebody else received it or understood it the way
Yes.
that I meant it to be.
Yes.
And as you pointed out, I think when it comes to the use of technology, how has the use of technology helped communication, but also kind of hindered it in how we need to maybe change the way we look at it or use it when it comes to communication?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good question to ask a Gen Z too. And it, that's a big question. I think we have to be flexible. We have to be, it's a, every relationship is a two-way street. Whether you're married, you have a business partner, whether it's intergenerational, Gen Z to exec or whatever. And so again, having that conversation to say what communication style works best and try to meet in the middle, I think is vital. I don't have the answer for that because it's very complex and there's a lot of different types of technology and communication styles. I think something else to understand is with women and Gen Z, what I'm also learning too is that we are really trying to empower each other, saying that we are enough, meaning when someone says something, um, it is enough. And so I think that's also a miscommunication because that's why sometimes young people don't respond back because they are saying, okay, what she said is enough. And so I don't think that she needs a response to that. So that's again leading to a miscommunication, right? And I think to your point, like literally having a conversation again and saying what's the best communication style with whoever you're talking with, just taking that 10 seconds will relieve a lot of things as well. So
That's a great point. I never even thought about the enough type statement because I've always viewed conversations as back and forth. And when you just brought up that fact, like, hey,
yeah.
what I said was enough, or what they said was enough, and I didn't think there needed to be anything else. I never really thought of it that way, and that's going to make me rethink
Mhm.
several other conversations I've had in the past. In the past, I thought were kind of short, and then probably needed to be more, but maybe it was just enough, and I misunderstood that. Like you said, going to some miscommunication.
Right. And you could literally say, you know what, just with how I operate, I just really would appreciate a communication back confirming that you heard me or that I am expressing myself properly to you. It just takes sometimes that one extra step so that then you have communicated that you expect a response
Yeah,
back.
no, that's a great point too. So, what is one piece of communication or technology that you found effective in bridging the gap? Is there one thing that you found that really helps in bridging the gap?
Connecting. So, we're in this remote versus in person world. There's a lot of Zoom. There's a lot of social media, but I think at the end of the day, when you can literally talk to someone, if it's all you can do is Zoom, or if you can meet in person or have that coffee, it makes a world of difference. And I'll tell you why. When we had COVID, we all moved to Zoom, and what happened is it eliminated kind of those side conversations, the side chats, the non-work kind of conversations, and therefore people, it eliminated the opportunity to see each other as human. And I think we can do it. We're amazing humans and we can really create anything and do any kind of work, any kind of industry, honestly. But it really comes down to relationship building, connecting as humans one on one. That's what I truly believe.
With the connecting piece, how do you view mentorship, and how do you help uh, talk to the different generations about the
Mhm.
usefulness of generations with building that connection?
Yeah, I have done a lot of different kind of mentoring, but with Boss Me and we implemented a co-mentoring program and we had 25 chiefs with 25 Gen Z. I'm actually doing an event next week in New York City about mentoring and really creating impact in one single event. But I think the old way is kind of out where it's one way, meaning I'm telling you and then we're focused on you and then I'm helping you. It's because everyone needs help right now. So I really look at it as co-work. I look at it as bi-directional. I look at it as a two-way street. I look at it as each person should have respect for each other. Yeah, of course, execs have a lot more experience. Like I mentioned this morning, we have made a million mistakes. And Gen Z, they have energy, they have new ideas, they really want to create a better world, but it's like we have to have that respect for each other and come together and there be bi-directional mentoring because we are all teaching each other things all the time. That's really what this world is about.
No, absolutely. I learn new things every single day, and I'm just amazed. I'm like,
Yes.
man, because I come from a tech field too, and just probably the reason why I asked a lot of tech questions. And I'm like, yeah, I knew that. I knew that. And they would tell me something. I was like, oh, I had no idea I could use that technology
Right.
that way. And it was just so
Right.
insightful on how they view the world. And so, go
Right.
ahead.
And I think with our, and but I don't know about you, but my background was, and again, very capitalistic ways, is that we were, as leaders, you're supposed to have all the answers, right? And it's not that kind of world anymore because no one has all the answers on their own. And to your point, Tim, we're constantly growing no matter what age you are. I have a mentor that's 83-year-old, uh, male, and he says he is still learning. So I appreciated that comment that he made to me.
No,
So.
absolutely. We are all learning. So,
Mhm.
with that, what is the most unexpected thing that you have learned from the newer, younger generations?
Oh, that's a big question. Um, how much they really care. They really, really care. In some ways it could be a frightful world, but at the same time, it's a world full of opportunity and really exciting, and people are doing really exciting things. And they really, really care about creating a better world. And you see that in many different capacities, whether it's in the future work area, whether it is, the kids at college who are talking about the issues there in society. You see it in communities. You see it through social media, and I think there was a famous quote. Don't quote me exactly, but it is the young people that creates the revolution of the world. It's not us; it's them because they're watching. So the reason why I'm shocked by that is because you would think with all the things commotion going on in the world that people are shutting down, and yes, maybe some are shutting down, but you would think that people are, and there is stories about and data about people becoming more isolated. You would think that they wouldn't care, but they do. They really do.
So, can you share like one or two like stories? Like, what does that look like when somebody says? Because I think that sometimes maybe somebody caring a lot can come across a different way to some other people, and they might be taken aback by it. Be like, oh, well, you don't really mean that, or you don't really feel that way, or you're just kind of angry.
Mhm.
So, how does that caring look like?
Oh, that's a big question. I mean, I can share many stories. Caring might be, for example, I just mentioned I'm partnered with a Gen Z who has created her own Gen Z community, and we're partnering and doing a bi-directional event, bridging, chief executive women with Gen Z founders. And so that caring means like you know, we're stepping up to the plate, we're showing action, we're showing up, we're creating something, a platform, a space so that people can come together and then create their own impact, right? Because that trickles to other people. So that's an example. With EYEJ, caring is, you know, caring. I'll give another example. I was just on a mentor call with, I'm still in touch with a lot of the young people from EYEJ, and I was on a mentor call with one of the ladies, Shaya, and I'm helping her develop her purpose a little bit more, making it more clear. And it's amazing because she wants to help people in her community because her family, like her brother, has autism and her parents have autism, and she wants to create a platform where persons of color who have autism can get help, the proper help that they see, and you can hear the passion in them even for a young age, and also the pain too. And I that's caring. That is caring, and thinking about already the younger people in her community, 5, 6, 7 years old, that are going through this at an 18-year-old age. That is caring and implementing, wanting to implement, wanting to see action and change from this. That is caring.
Those are amazing stories too, by the way, of this younger generation really caring and being passionate too, right? Some things
Yeah.
as we get older, we may lose some passion, and we gain some passion in some other
Hmm.
ways, and having that passion around is good. So, we a lot of what we talked about has to do with a lot of self awareness. And so, how do you
Hmm.
relate to that in the work that you do when it comes to developing self awareness, because you have the awakening awareness, as well. So what is that?
Mhm. I just recently moved to New York City, and when there's a change happening in your life, you do a lot of reflecting. I'm like, what the heck am I been doing the last 13 years with all these different community underserved youth, or privileged youth, or Gen Z, or executives? Like, what have, and all these diverse people, what have I been doing? And what I realized was I was actually building awareness, right? And so and I'm very in tune with society and paying attention to solutions that we can create to help society right now. And to your point, there's this demand for the need for leadership that matches this new world. And if we cannot, as leaders, see clearly, we cannot make good impact. We cannot make good businesses. We cannot make good business decisions. And so we need to be able to see clearly, and that's what my this new initiative is about. I just spoke at Harvard last week about this. We must, as leaders, build our awareness. And to your point about self-awareness, that is part of the work, is facing ourselves, right? The good and the bad. We're human, right? And focusing on the our superpowers and what we're good at, and what and trusting ourselves of what we really want to do for this world. What is our purpose? How do we want to help? That's really what it comes down to. How do we want to help each other, our communities, and so on? And so this is a new kind of rebirth, I believe, in society happening right now. But self-awareness is absolutely fundamental, and I think a lot of people actually have a hard time with it. And I'm curious, how we can make it sexier and not so negative, because it's not all negative. Yes, you do sometimes go through some pain points. It's not always easy. But we have to allow ourselves to grow, and it's okay to change. That's not a negative thing. That's a normal part of life. And self-awareness is definitely part of normal part of life as well.
No, absolutely. And you just reminded me of Sun Tzu's quote where he said, "You may know your enemy, and you'll lose 100% of the battles if you don't know yourself." Right, and the same could be
Hmm.
applied to business. It's applied to leadership,
Yep.
and you just hit that right on the head. So,
And I'll tell you, I'm grateful to EYJ for actually really learning that, because in the hard moments, I mean, there was one point I was homeless at a time. I was a single mom pushing EYJ forward. I mean, I had this great career before, and so many times I've been like, F this, I want to quit. And everything is like a problem, everything is hard. But the truth is, in those moments when you can face yourselves, you hold the answers. And that's part of self-awareness that we are not taught. And it's vital for leadership. It doesn't matter what industry, what role, job you have, we hold the answers within us. And that's part of self-awareness.
no, absolutely. So Mike, I just wanted to. I always give everybody the last word, and I always try to make sure that all the guests that come on the show, one, if there's a question that I didn't ask that I should have asked, what would that question be? And then two, is there anything that we didn't talk about? You were like, you know what? I really have to talk about this. I'm really passionate about it. I got to get off my chest. And so I just kind of want to offer up the last little bit to you and to what you have to say for the final word.
Yeah, I think my question I would have asked is, who are you as a human? And what am I super excited about? I'm excited for my journey. I mean, I'm growing and evolving just like everyone else. And I'm thinking about, how can I help people on a bigger level, because I have all this experience. And yeah, sure, I have some answers here and there, but I'm still learning and growing and listening and talking with people and connecting. And so I'm excited. I'm honestly excited for culture and society. As crazy as that sounds, a lot of people are, and of course, there's moments I'm effing upset with what's happening, or I'm in pain or whatever, but I'm actually keeping my eyes open and trusting the universe right now, and there's a lot of amazing things happening right now. So
Well, awesome. So, it was really great to have you on the show. And for everyone listening to this and watching this, in the descriptions, you'll be able to find all of her social media links and ways to reach out to her and get a hold of her and her organizations. that she belonged to. So, Mai, thank you so much, and appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you. I'm grateful.